Welcome. This video will provide a thorough explanation of the Nesterenko Software OnCall Assistant application. Pause on the screen if you need to analyze the information presented. Another video on the website provides a brief overview of this app. First, I'll demonstrate how to add absences and assign on-calls, and then I'll explain the initial setup of the app. On a daily basis, everything takes place here on the main tab. Daily reminders entered here will appear when assigning on-calls. We'll see that in a moment. More about supply teachers later, but let's suppose that today we will use supply teacher Diane Severson as well as another yet unknown supply teacher. So let's use supply 1 for now. I will demonstrate using September 27th, so I adjust the date here. Now I go to the Add Absence, Assign On-Call form. There are 5 teachers absent for various reasons and lengths of time. Andy Bathgate is at a lead teacher meeting at the board office. Note that coverage and absence information can be entered initially or adjusted below after the absence is added. Brooke Henderson is ill. Eric Nesterenko will be absent for the next 3 days. Notice that several days absence can be added. Christine Sinclair is coaching soccer and will be away after period 1, and Gump Worsley is ill. Notice that the daily reminders appear in the upper part of the screen, and a variety of information pop-up forms provide some help if needed. Andy Bathgate's Period 1 will be covered by Unknown Supply Teacher 1. Period 2 Calculus will be redirected to the library to prepare for a test, and first half of Period 4 will be covered by an on-call. Periods needing coverage are highlighted in color. Note that the drop-down list shows teachers available in that period and is sorted by the number of on-calls already done, so that the most likely candidate is near the top. Active supply teachers are shown at the bottom. I will demonstrate the special case on-call feature here. I will use the @See Notes option for Andy Bathgate's second half of Period 4. This is an option that might be needed if a person who does not normally perform on-calls is asked to do an on-call. A special case on-call report would be printed and delivered to Ms. Jones. The details of the coverage would be typed into the Notes section. Brooke Henderson requires no coverage. I will purposely leave Period 4 needing coverage to demonstrate error checking later. Eric Nesterenko will be covered in Period 1 by Unknown Supply Teacher 1 and in Period 2 by on-calls. And here are the next 2 days' absences. Coverage could be dealt with now or next day. I will leave it for now. Christine Sinclair will be covered in Periods 2 and 3 by on-calls. Our daily notes remind us not to assign an on-call to Andrea Hunter in Period 3, who is helping with an assembly. To demonstrate some error checking, I have assigned 2 on-calls to Cassie Campbell in Period 2, and I've left off coverage for Christine Sinclair Period 3 second half. Gump Worsley will be covered all day by supply teacher Diane Severson. Some on-call notes can be added which will appear on on-call and supply teacher reports. The app performs several checks. If a teacher has been assigned more than one on-call in a period, if an absent teacher has been assigned an on-call, if coverage needed but none assigned, if a teacher has been assigned more than 2 on-calls in a week. There are some issues here. If working on future days, some of these items could be left and adjusted later, but I will correct today's issues now. The Quick View Assign form is handy when working on a particularly busy on-call day. There is less functionality, but more teachers can be viewed on the screen at one time. Perhaps we now know that the unknown supply teacher for Period 1 and 2 is Stan Makita, so we will activate him, or add him if necessary, on the supply teacher form, so that he will appear in the drop-down. Here we now see Stan Makita in the drop-down and assign him to Eric Nesterenko's Period 1 class and Andy Bathgate's Period 2 class. We could also add a new supply teacher here if necessary. Users will use the supply teacher form in whatever way works best for them. That completes the assigning and fine-tuning of on-calls for the day. Now the daily reports can be viewed and printed or PDF'd and emailed depending on how communication is performed in each school. Here is the teacher absence on-call report for posting in the staff room and main office. Here are on-call slips which might be placed in teacher mailboxes. Here are the supply teacher assignment sheets which would be ready for incoming supply teachers. Here is the redirect notice to post on the classroom door. Here is the special case on-call report, which would be communicated to special on-call staff, in this case to Ms. Jones. A handy report here on the main tab is the upcoming absence on-calls report, which shows all absences and on-calls from the date selected onward. As shown, most coverage would not yet be assigned and would show as to be announced. Initial school setup is done on the School Setup tab. The app is usually sent to users with all of these settings already configured. Here we see typical settings, a semestered school with 4 periods displayed. Semester and term dates are entered here. The app can display 4 or 5 periods and can accommodate a semestered or a non-semestered 2-day cycle school. Semestered schools with some classes running all year can also be accommodated. In order to create the school calendar table, non-instructional dates are entered here. Then the app will recreate the school calendar table using the above information. Here is what the school calendar table looks like, showing the non-instructional days. A variety of daily schedules can be used: regular, flip, shortened, etc. Period start and halfway times are entered here. Then the daily schedule can be adjusted in the school calendar table. Here I demonstrate how to indicate a week of flipped period 3 and 4. And if a 2-day cycle is used for a non-semestered school, or a semestered 2-day cycle of some sort, the day can be adjusted here. The absence code table can be edited to suit your needs. Recall that the absence display info will appear on the daily teacher on-call listing. The Teacher Master Schedule tab provides functions to import and organize teaching assignments and on-call availability in what is referred to within the app as the Teacher Linear Table. The process of importing the master schedule data is exactly the same in the OnCall Assistant as it is in the Timetable Assistant app. The Master Schedule by Course Section report is generated, the data from the report is saved to the masterschedule.csv file, and then imported into the app by clicking the button here on the Teacher Master Schedule tab. It is a crucial step, and therefore no data entry is required by the user. After importing the master schedule, teacher assignments and on-call availability can be edited if necessary. Here, on-call availability for part-time teachers or possibly lead teachers is changed. During the first import of the school year, the app will initially assume that a teacher is available for an on-call in any period where no class is taught. On subsequent imports of the master schedule, the app will leave the previous on-call availability for each teacher as is, unless the teaching assignment has changed. And the app will identify any teacher who had previously been within the master schedule but is no longer in the current imported master schedule. Then the user can delete the teacher if the teacher has not performed any on-calls or had any absences. Here is a teacher linear report. On-call availability can also be changed here. If beginning to use this app mid-year or for other reasons, the number of on-calls already done by a teacher can be adjusted. The maximum number of on-calls to be done by each teacher can be edited, for part-time teachers, for instance. The import process draws in all teachers, but there could be a unique situation where it is necessary to add a teacher. That can be done here. A variety of year-to-date reports are available, both detail and summary. Here's the year-to-date on-calls by teacher detail. And here's the year-to-date on-calls by teacher summary. And the other year-to-date summary reports. On-calls by date, on-calls by period, absences by teacher, absences by date, absences by absence code. Here is the teacher on-calls done and remaining report. This provides a visual of overall on-call coverage still available. The totals are likely helpful. On-calls only for a selected teacher can be viewed. This might be helpful to reconcile on-calls with a teacher. I hope the video has been helpful. The only requirement is that Microsoft Access, a component of MS Office, be installed on your computer, since the app is an MS Access application file. No data entry is required. I'd be happy to provide you with a free trial. I can send the app as an email attachment. I can also call you and lead you through setup and getting started if you wish. Feel free to email if you have any questions or need more information.